Have you ever wondered how it would be like if an overpowered bald man were in the world of One Punch Man? I mean a second one. What if Krillin joined the Hero Association? How far would he go? Would he be strong enough to beat people like Boros and Garou? Or would he just be another sidekick? Well, wonder no more, because in my multiversal library, there is a world where that happened. So pull up a chair, maybe grab some soda and popcorn, and follow me along as I take you to the world of What If Krillin joined the One Punch Man Hero Association. The Capsule Corps aircraft hummed quietly through the afternoon sky, its yellow metallic exterior flying smoothly through the sky. Krillin sat at the pilot's control, and behind him, Trunks reviewing flight data on a tablet. The atmosphere was rather tense. Goku laid atop a futon, his body under attack by a deadly heart virus. The Z fighters were forced to travel with Goku this way, knowing that an assault by the androids could happen at any time. Yet what Krillin had to do next filled him up with dread more than anything else. He had to call up Bulma. "Hey Bulma, what's up?" Bulma's voice filled the cabin through the speakers, frustration and confusion mixed together in her tone. "Krillin, perfect timing. I've been calling you jerks all day. Thanks for leaving me on voicemail. It's not like I had anything important to say." Bulma seemed ready to send Krillin on a struggle session, where if he spoke in return, Bulma would continue berating him with the entire aircraft listening. Yet Bulma simply stated, "I need you and Trunks to see something in the west 1050 forest area," later describing what seemed like a time machine identical to Trunks, yet half buried in moss. Bulma eventually coming to ask Trunks to check it out with her, to which Trunks agreed. That's when Gohan stepped forward. "Can I come with?" questioned Gohan. "Absolutely not," Chi-Chi's voice cutting through immediately. "You have homework. I will not have my son be an unemployed karate thug settling alien beefs with his gang." This declaration causing Krillin to hear the familiar sound of Gohan's defeated sigh. "Don't worry, Gohan," he stated, his face being unable to face away from piloting the aircraft. "I'll go and tell you everything afterwards. I mean, we're buddies after all that Namek business, right?" "Thanks, Krillin. Just be careful." Within an hour, Bulma, Krillin, and Trunks were standing in a lightly forested area surrounded by cliffs, staring at the impossible machine. Moss covered its metallic surface. Roots had grown through cracks in the hull, and the whole clearing smelled of rot. "This one's old, really old, and damaged. There's a big hole blown right through the side. However, knowing me, I'd probably have built some kind of emergency setting protocol in case it got hit by an energy blast or something. Just be careful," Bulma warned. The machine's hatch was partially open, revealing an interior filled with strange, curved fragments that looked like pieces of an enormous eggshell. "This isn't part of the time machine," Trunks said, picking up one of the fragments. "Let me see that," Bulma said, extending her hand. As Trunks stepped over to show his mother the fragment, Krillin climbed into the cramped cockpit to examine more debris near the control panel. "There's another shell here," he called out, reaching for a larger piece. "This one looks intact." The fragment cracked in his hands, spilling thick, greenish liquid across his fingers. The smell made his stomach churn. "Ugh, gross," Krillin exclaimed, losing his balance in the cramped space. His elbow hit the control panel as he tried to shake off green goo juice. The liquid splattered across the dashboard's button. Lights flashed as the organic liquid reacted with the futuristic technology, engines humming as if there never was any damage to the machine. "Bulma, something's happening! Get out of there!" she shouted, her scanner screaming warnings. But the hatch was already closing, sealing him inside as energies Bulma couldn't even give an explanation for were detected. The last thing Krillin heard was his friends calling his name before the world exploded in white light. As the time machine reached its destination, Krillin stepped out. The first thing he noticed was the smell: smoke, destruction, and burning chemicals. The second was the sound: sirens wailing, people screaming, and a deep rumbling voice that shook the ground. "Where am I?" he muttered, looking around at an unfamiliar city. "Oh, reinforcement have arrived?" Krillin turned to see who spoke those words. What he saw was a tall, alien-looking man, antenna poking out of his head, flesh orbs attached at their ends. The purple-skinned figure stood atop dirt and rubble. Once Krillin's eyes scanned further, he could see a bald man in a yellow jumpsuit, his white cap flowing through the wind. The two were stiffly positioned across from each other, as if to imply they were in the middle of an argument. The two were looking at Krillin, both curious to see what he would say. "What's a Namekian doing here? I didn't know you guys could be purple too." "Namekian?" the monster rumbled, its voice rattling windows that weren't already destroyed. "I am Vaccine Man, born from the pollution and waste humanity has created. I am the Earth's immune system, here to eliminate the disease that is mankind. For far too long, your kind has been During Vaccine Man's monologue, Saitama interjected with a, "Well, I'm Saitama, a guy with a hero hobby." "Hero hobby?" Krillin blinked. What kind of response was that to a declaration of war against humanity? Saitama's casual demeanor making him second-guess the situation, unsure how to proceed. As Krillin looked over at the hero hobbyist, Saitama's flowing cape moved far enough to reveal a little girl laying on the ground shivering in fear, the sight being all Krillin needed to see. Vaccine Man, feeling he was not being taken seriously, ended his monologue early. "You dare mock me, human?" Vaccine Man's eyes focused on the caped man with murderous intent. "I'll show you the price of mankind's arrogance." The monster pushed his legs forward, the force of it rocketing his massive frame towards Saitama, arms raised. Dust kicked up everywhere beneath him. When the dust settled and he felt contact with his fists. "Hey," Krillin grunted, pushing back with his palm. "We can talk this over, you know." Saitama blinked in surprise, just observing, yet still ready to intervene if the monster chose to attack the child laying beside him. Interesting. Another bald guy with some power? Did he get it like I did? Krillin remained holding the monster's fist in place, Vaccine Man grunting as he attempted to break Krillin's hold. "Talk this over?" Vaccine Man laughed in an unnerving manner. "Humans are a plague upon this world. They poison everything. I am nature's answer, the voice of the voiceless." Vaccine Man feinted a punch with his other fist, successfully causing Krillin to break his hold in reaction to it. The monster afterwards leaped backwards. "Now, tremble, human!" Vaccine Man's form began to shift. His entire body expanded in size as he yelled. Krillin took his time to raise his right arm fully, opening his palm, extending it flatly. "If there's one thing I've learned, when a guy like that starts transforming, it ain't good." A circular disc began to manifest above Krillin's palm. A circular golden light spiral birthed from the key energy flowing within him. Vaccine Man had transformed into a building-sized, even more monstrous version of himself. His large piercing teeth and massive claws at the ready to strike. Before he could even motion to attack, Krillin shouted, "Destructo Disc!" The round energy spiral, like an accelerated buzzsaw plate, sliced Vaccine Man's head right off, a fountain of blood pouring out of the neck as the monster collapsed to the ground. Krillin stood there, his eyes looking over Vaccine Man's corpse. It didn't take long for him to confirm that the fight was over, with the disembodied head still leaking blood. At this moment, Saitama spoke up, as if to de-intensify the atmosphere. "Good work." Krillin turned to see the bald man approaching, his expression still remarkably casual. "I was hoping to get a fun workout today, but you handled that pretty efficiently." "Workout?" Krillin stared at him. "Yeah, but he looks strong. I don't get many chances to fight someone who might actually challenge me." This response felt nostalgic to Krillin, as if he had heard many others repeat this very line before. The child who had been shivering in fear earlier, now hearing only human voices, opened her eyes. After seeing Vaccine Man laid out on the ground, she began to cry and wrap her arms around Saitama's leg. "Mr. Hero, is it safe now?" Saitama then picked up the child with both of his arms stretched out, so he could carry her. Saitama then replied to the girl, "It is, kid. I'll take you somewhere safe so you can find your parents." Saitama then returned to face Krillin again. "Well, I gotta go. I have to ask though, is that thing you arrived in a teleportation device? You just suddenly appeared out of nowhere in a flash of light. Krillin replied, No, sorry, you may not believe me, but it's the time machine. I don't think I'm from this time period. I haven't a clue what city I'm in. Saitama tilted his head sideways, stared vacantly for a couple of seconds, and came out with, Sounds like the sort of stuff that could happen around here. Krillin didn't know how to respond. Well, this is Z City. I haven't dealt with a time traveler before, but I'd imagine you're lost and got nowhere to go. So the refugee center is a good spot for you too. Monster attacks happen all the time, so they'd take you in. No questions asked. It's just down this very street. Krillin then replied, Thanks, good to know just in case. Well, see ya. Just go down the direction I'm heading towards. Saitama, carrying the little girl, ran away in a flash. Krillin walked towards the time machine, which had been left in a sorry state. The moss covering was lit aflame by short-circuiting wires. The shattered dashboard emitted smoke, and the hole at the side had nuts and bolts pouring out. Safe to say I can't get back home with this, Krillin concluded. Krillin lifted the time machine above him and flew around, hoping to find a suitable location. He had found a spot in the forest nearby Sea City, a hiding spot where towering trees would encircle it. As long as I remember that it's near this lake, I should be able to find it next time. Should be safe until I find someone who can fix it. Hopefully. Once Krillin had no direct objective to achieve and had reached a quiet environment, the reality of the situation hit him. I really am stuck here. I left my time period at the worst moment too. Goku. The androids. Krillin planted his head on a nearby tree, his eyes closed. Guys, I'm sorry I can't help. I'm so stupid. I should have been more careful. Krillin began pounding his fists on the tree. After a minute of this, and worried pacing around the forest, Krillin took the time to breathe. He looked around at the forest that surrounded him. The wildlife here carried on, as if there hadn't been a monster attack that happened nearby. To the squirrels, the threat of Vaccine Man might as well not have been a thing. Krillin taking in the mindset he projected on these squirrels, who only really cared for who had the biggest set of nuts and acorns. But if I know Goku, things will turn out okay. We caught his heart attack virus early, and with Bulma's brains, yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine. What could I have done to help anyway? I've already died once. It'd probably have happened again. Krillin then slapped his palms against his head. No, Goku wouldn't have wanted to see me in this way. He revived me with the Dragon Balls. I better make good use of my life while I still got it. Krillin regained a bit of resolve. After stabilizing his composure, he decided to visit the refugee center Saitama told him about. The refugee center buzzed with quiet activity. Families huddled on cots, volunteers distributing blankets, and a steady line of displaced people at the intake desk. Krillin approached the tired-looking clerk, likely in her 30s, a woman with wire-rimmed glasses. Name? She asked, pen poised over a clipboard. Krillin. Last name? Just Krillin. She looked up. Address? ID? Any documentation? Krillin shook his head. Sorry, I don't have anything. The woman didn't even blink. Monster attack? Something like that. Right. She made a note. Happens more than you think. We'll get you set up with a cot and meal tickets. She gestured over the rows of bed. Employment? No, guess I'm unemployed. Krillin sighed, not wanting to admit this in front of an attractive woman. During Krillin's questioning, a voice interrupted. That laser frisbee thing you threw was incredible. Krillin turned to see a man in a torn purple business suit, brown messy hair, green eyes bright with excitement. I saw the whole Vaccine Man fight from my office window. That golden spinning thing just sliced right through him. The clerk perked up. You fought Vaccine Man? Amazing. How are you not employed? You should consider joining the Hero Association. They're always looking for capable people, and the pay's decent. Put that laser frisbee to good use. Hero Association? Professional heroes, she explained. There's actually an entrance exam tomorrow if you're interested. physical and written components. Krillin's eyes lit up. How far can someone climb in the ranks? All the way to S-Class if you're good enough. The Hero Association headquarters, a massive black square of a tower that dwarfed the skyscrapers besides, stood imposingly in A City. Krillin craned his neck up at the massive structure, easily 50 stories of glass and steel, reaching toward the clouds. The building's width seemed to span several city blocks, with multiple wings extending in different directions. People streamed in and out of the main entrance like ants, a constant flow of heroes, staff, and civilians. Signs directed visitors to different sections. Department of Hero Activities Division A through Z, floors 1 through 26. Training Facilities, floors 15 through 25. Research Division, floors 30 to 35. New recruits were directed to the faculties on floor 15 to start the tests. Krillin followed a crowd, assuming they too were recruits, passing offices that he would not bother to guess what they were in charge of, and countless administrative staff keeping the whole operation running. Still navigating his way through the first floor, Krillin was spotted by a tall, lean man with spiky blonde hair and sharp facial features that gave him an intense, focused expression. He wore his signature black hero costume, a form-fitting suit with a narrow yellow line running along the sides. "Hey, you a tourist or are you a hero?" Lightning Mask called out, his voice carrying the confidence of an experienced A-class hero, but with genuine helpfulness in his tone. Krillin looked up at the taller hero, a bit surprised by the direct approach. "Neither, actually. I'm looking to try the hero entrance exam." Lightning Max pointed back toward the main lobby. "Ah, you're going the wrong way then. The testing area is back that way. Take the elevators to the 15th floor. That crowd you were following, they're heading to the cafeteria." "Oh, thanks," Krillin said, feeling a little embarrassed. "I guess I got lost. This place is huge." As Krillin adjusted his orange G, Lightning Mask's eyes lingered on the familiar martial arts attire. "I see you have a karate G. What school are you from?" "Turtle School," Krillin replied with a hint of pride in his voice. Lightning Mask raised an eyebrow, genuinely intrigued. "Interesting. Never heard of them. I'm glad to hear of a school that doesn't look down on being a hero. Those are rare." Krillin tilted his head, curious. "Why is that?" Lightning Mask crossed his arms, his expression becoming slightly more serious. "Most traditional martial arts schools think hero work is taking the easy route. They think fighting monsters is a waste of time, as if the only way to advance their fighting styles is fighting other martial artists." Krillin replied with, "That's dumb. What's wrong with saving others anyway? Sounds like they just want to win tournaments." Lightning Mask agreed. "Right? Man, I hope you pass. Well, I've taken enough of your time. Rank A Lightning Mask out." Lightning Mask gave a wave and began strolling away. "Hey, wait, sorry man, I got one more question," Krillin stated. "Go ahead, shout. As an A rank, you probably know a lot. Is there a hero out there, or even a company or something that works with time machines?" Lightning Mask paused briefly to ponder. "Odd question, but no, not that I've heard of. Sorry. If there was anyone out there working on that sort of thing, it'd definitely be the S rank's Metal Knight or Child Emperor. Those guys have robot armies and giant mechs. Definitely their wheelhouse." "Oh, is it easy to contact them?" "No, they're way too busy for that. Heck, as an A rank myself, I've only seen Child Emperor once. I think the only way would be becoming an S rank yourself." Krillin gave off a sigh of resignation. Krillin, arriving at floor 15, signed some paperwork and began the hero test. The physical portion was almost embarrassingly easy. He broke every strength record, ran the course in seconds, and barely broke a sweat. The written test was a different story. "What is the maximum acceptable collateral damage for a dragon level threat in a residential area?" None at all. So C." Krillin penciled in his answer. "An important donor to the Hero Association is in danger, his life being saved, meaning many years of the Hero Association existence. What level of priority is his rescue?" The same as everyone else's." Later that day, in a Hero Association conference room, his physical scores are off the charts, one examiner said, reviewing the results. Literally broke our equipment. But look at this written score, another replied, wincing. Barely passing. S-class abilities, no question. But hero work isn't just about raw power. B-class then. Room to grow. They stamped his file. Hero name, Kung Fu Baldy. Kids'll love him. He's approachable, and his size, I see a marketable toy line in his future. Krillin, still living at the refugee center, approached the tired-looking clerk. Mail bags near her table, all in the process of being sorted into trays. "Oh hey, any mail for me?" She responded with, "Oh yeah, something did arrive for you. It's from the Hero Association. It's got that fancy stamp on it." Krillin was then handed his letter, excitedly reading his results. "We are glad to inform you that physical portion S-class worthy." S-class? The clerk's eyes energetically widening. "Though your written results reveal you still have the mindset of an idealistic hero, suggesting room for growth. We hereby rank B, 327. The clerk's facial expression returned to a neutral, tired state. "Hey, B rank? That's good. That's a stable income now. Not enough to live in the nicest neighborhoods, but sorry. Nice job, hero." Krillin still had a cheerful expression. "Yeah, guess it won't be too long till I can sleep on a nice bed, far away from wailing babies. Not that I don't appreciate staying here. Anyway, what would it mean? What would it mean being S-class?" The clerk responded, "It'd mean you'd be essentially a celebrity, one of the strongest of the strong. It said your physical exam were S-class level. Don't forget me when you get to the top, Krillin. I'll be rooting for you." The clerk looking towards Krillin, placing her hand on his shoulder. Krillin had also received a package, along with his letter. In it, a smartphone specialized for notifying heroes of nearby threats. Krillin began toying with it as he laid on his assigned cot, scrolling a page on a Hero Encyclopedia database site. Krillin was intent on reading all he could on Metal Knight, one of the rarest heroes to spot in person. "Ah, man," Krillin thought while reading. He motioned his finger to continue browsing. "Hot, lonely singles in your area. I almost clicked on that dang pop-ups." Krillin, despite his complaints, kept his eye on the scantily clad blonde model used for the ad. However, while ogling, a notification sprang up. "Demon level threat nearby city-wide rural outskirts. Monster name, Mad Farmer." Krillin's upper body rose up, a look of determination in his eyes. Krillin was soaring just below a layer of clouds, scanning the area below him. The grassy hills soon transitioning into a flat terrain full of tilled soil. Krillin would soon spot a person motioning her arms to grab his attention. She was a beautiful blonde woman with pigtails, wearing a red plaid shirt under her blue overalls. Krillin flew down so he could land on the grassy field near to her. "Hero, I'm so glad you came. The Mad Farmer is nearby, terrorizing the McCoy's crops. Can you point me towards the Mad Farmer? Darn tootin', he's that way." She pointed westwards from where the two stood. Krillin faced towards the direction she pointed, and began to float the air. Could you wait a moment?" The blonde farmhand questioned. Sure, but why?" Krillin asked. "Well, the Mad Farmer only really messing with people's crops, and the McCoys are rich. He's just extracting their genetically modified crops, and y'all, we can wait a few moments." Krillin paused and soon thought over the notification he got. The demon level threat is disastrous to the food supply chain. Ignoring him will devastate our society. The blonde farmhead said, "Yeah, they can take some damage, like 5 mittens worth, and he's right over there." She pointed behind Krillin. There, a thin man wearing a straw hat stood on a hill. He had a scythe resting on his right shoulder, his brown cloak waving in the wind. "Ah, you look like a hero. I'm here to collect GMO plant samples to craft an army. Unfortunate that you will be the first hero casualty." The thin man tossed various seeds toward the ground. Wherever the seeds made contact, the ground soon began to rumble. From the rumbling pockets of soil the seeds made contact with, Small green humanoids popped out. A horde of these green men appeared. Soon enough, Krillin was encircled by many of these little green men with bulbous heads and claws stretched out at the ready. This feels familiar, Krillin thought. Krillin leaped into the air, and as soon as he did, one by one, a little green man charged at Krillin. The first one was repelled by a punch. Whack! The second sent downwards by a kick. Crash! The third and fourth, one held onto Krillin's arms for a second, but were sent flying by Krillin's flexing. By the 15th green man, Krillin had a small window to land back on the ground. He could still hear rumbling underground. Pockets of little green men were set to pop out. Krillin assumed a fighting pose once again. I have this vague feeling. I can't figure out why. An image of Yamcha laying devastated in the middle of the crater flashed into his head. At this moment, Krillin did a backflip, landing a kick right at a perfect moment when a green man attempted to latch himself onto Krillin's back. Krillin made a perfect landing. The rumbles underground, now producing what looked to be 20 little green men. It seems my army is being produced quicker than you can get rid of them, hero, the mad farmer yelled tauntingly. Krillin responded, It would seem so, but I got some tricks up my sleeve too. Krillin positioned his hands on his forehead. Solar flare! When Krillin made this declaration, a flash of light emitted from him, a blinding light that caused all in the vicinity to cover their eyes, unable to move. Krillin soon enough appeared right behind the mad farmer. With a karate chop, the mad farmer went down. When the little green man horde ceased covering their eyes, they recalibrated their eyes onto Krillin. Seeing that their master was knocked out and no more reinforcements were on their way, the green swarm ran away in an attempt to escape. They did not get very far before several heroes who had also received the notification from their phones stood in their path. A look of despair appeared on their green faces. The blonde farmhand rushed in to hug Krillin. Darling, you saved my crops. She planted a kiss on Krillin's cheek. Mwah. Krillin could only blush. A few days later, Krillin arrived at the parking lot of a warehouse. He was sent there by a demon-level threat notification, asking for nearby heroes to help. By the scene that laid before him, other heroes got there before him. Several holes could be seen in no particular pattern all over the parking lot, and near them, unconscious heroes. One of these heroes, a blonde spiked-haired man in a black bodysuit, still retained consciousness. Hey, it's you! Be careful. The Mole Man army have moved into the warehouse, and we couldn't stand up to them. The man mustered up, his hand slowly raised and gestured towards Krillin. Lightning Mask, are you okay? I'm fine. The Mole Men were only interested in knocking out all of us who arrived on the scene. I don't know what rank you managed to get, but if you are in S-Class, I stayed back. A civilian walked in by himself, I hear. Don't be like him. Krillin tightened his fist. Now that you've told me that, I can't just stand back. I may be B-Class, but I can handle myself. Thanks for telling me what was up, Max. I'll give them a good punch in your name. Krillin took steps toward the entrance of the warehouse, a staircase leading to dual green doors. A couple of these steps later, and a well-built, tanned young man walked out of the facility, carrying a portly, hairy monster man wearing a yellow hard hat and kingly robes over his shoulders. Once the tan man got to the staircase, he tossed the monster man on the concrete that composed that parking lot. Here you go, heroes. I dealt with the Mole Man army or whatever. You're lucky my sister's friend works there. Don't you all find it sad there are two young ladies out there that know you're a bunch of jokers and got me to do your jobs for you? The man then scanned the parking lot. Several heroes still recovering from the Mole Man invasion. A hero in a red jumpsuit laid facing the ground, still unconscious. Another was taking heavy breaths, leaning on his elbows. The man then had his eyes fixed on Lightning Max. Oh hey, you're that guy from the last martial arts tournament. Fighting facts. You don't get any good training fighting stuff like that Mole Man. Your fighting skills will stay pathetic. Lightning Mask, back facing the ground, heard this, and despite his weakened state, let out, Don't look down on us heroes, shithead Suryu. Suryu gave a grin. Hard not to when you're mostly all laid out on the ground. Suryo began laughing at his own joke. Krillin, a blood vessel now visible on his head, yelled in defense of his comrades. This isn't a game. It's about saving others, Suryu. Take that back. Suryu looked over Krillin, noticing his karate gi. I see. His hands casually in his sleek blue gi's pockets. Let's go, Krillin said in response. Krillin dashed forward, landing a solid kick that launched Suryu into the outer walls of the warehouse. Suryu groaned, but was able to recover and stand on his feet. I see. I should be taking you seriously. That's a good speed. If I had been in a fighting position. Suryu then took off the upper part of his gi, revealing his muscled frame. Suryu began rotating his arms and conducting some light hops as pre-fight prep. Suryu then got into a fighting stance, staring down Krillin. The two's eyes focused on another. Suryu made the first move. He too dashed with an intention of landing a kick. Krillin was able to block. However, he did not predict that Suryu had the speed to immediately appear right behind him. To! The sheer force of Suryu's kick sent Krillin flying. Krillin was able to recover by landing his palms on the concrete. Suryu left no time for Krillin to do more than leap back into standing position as he ran in and began deploying a flurry of kicks. Krillin stood there, not moving his legs, only requiring movement of his torso and head to dodge. Suryu continued his storm of kicks, using his size advantage and leg reach, carefully staying away from a Krillin counterattack. Krillin had continued dodging, as if he had it down to a rhythm. Suryu planned on this. To-ya! Suryu deployed a sweeping leg kick. Thwack! Krillin landed a punch mid-air after jumping over the leg sweep. The punch ricocheting Suryu from the ground into the sky. Krillin flew to meet where Suryu was launched and delivered a kick downward, sending Suryu towards the concrete floor like a bullet. However, Suryu was able to recover by rolling when he made contact with the ground. Suryu stood once again in position, looking upwards at the floating Krillin. Kinda unfair if you stay flying up there, shrimp. Don't worry, I'll be down there shortly. Krillin charged downwards. Suryu smirked. Once Krillin got into range, Suryu delivered a spinning roundhouse kick, the momentum of it guaranteeing a devastating blow. Yet Suryu had just kicked at air. As his leg made its arc, he saw Krillin's face. Krillin had stopped his aerial charge early, all done with a smirk that immediately conveyed, I knew you'd do that. Krillin soon delivered a left hook, then a right. Suryu's body twisted around, a tooth falling out as he rotated. Suryu's last thought before getting knocked out being, the first time I ever try, and I lost. Suryu's body now laid on the ground, like the heroes he was taunting before. Krillin stood there, hands on his hips, a prideful look on his face. Krillin looked back towards Lightning Max, who witnessed the entire bout. Lightning Max had a grin on his face, and when he exchanged gazes with Krillin, motioned his right hand into a thumbs up. Krillin too began to smile, and gave a thumbs up in return. The Mumen incident would be recorded as being handled by an external force. Heroes did account for the recovery efforts, loading injured civilians into ambulances and rescuing any trapped in debris. Suryu was classified as a vigilante with elite A-class level strength, who did not call for the proper authorities and refused to cooperate with heroes. Krillin, who engaged in mutual combat with Suryu, displayed capabilities that called for his advancement to A rank. It also helped that many other heroes vouched for him, commenting that he had a heroic spirit and a good reputation among the A rank. Their input no doubt helped in accelerating Krillin's promotion. A woman sat on an uncomfortable metal chair, facing a rectangular plastic gray table. She had been sorting the mailbag in trays labeled A through Z. Eye bags underneath her eyes, one could easily sense how tired she was. As she sipped from coffee poured into a foam cup, she heard a familiar voice. Hey, Martha, any mail for me today? Krillin questioned. Martha's mood now improved after the coffee, answered in a cheery tone. Ah, yes, here you go, Krillin. Another from the Hero Association. Krillin quickly opened the envelope. We are pleased to inform you, promoted to rank A? Martha almost spat out her coffee. Already? It's been barely a week and a half since you started hero work. Krillin rubbed the back of his head. Well, Krillin, as a rank A, you pretty much have a guaranteed path out of here. Any landlord would see your hero ID, know immediately that you got a sustainable income and background, and take you in. So, just remember me when you leave. I wouldn't mind an invite someday. Really? Would it be that easy now for me to get a place? Krillin stood in an apartment complex's central office, an old woman reading over a document he signed, and gave a smile. Krillin looked surprised. It really was that easy. After a long day of buying furniture for his new luxurious apartment and the subsequent hauling it inside, Krillin decides to visit a newly opened ramen stall nearby. He takes a seat and is attended to by an older man. Back for seconds, Kung Fu Baldy? The man playfully asks. Huh, doing all the hero work must be draining. You were just here about 2 hours ago, remember? This is my first time here. Sure. It's fine to be embarrassed. You know, whatever bowl you order will be on the house. I mean, it's thanks to you that Sea City businesses are booming, kung fuing the monsters and all, like that attack by the kelp monster. Just one punch that thing, huh? Krillin was visibly confused, but didn't correct him. Can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Krillin finished his meal, feeling a bit of guilt over taking advantage of miscredited hero work. What would happen next would only intensify those feelings. As Krillin walked home from the ramen stall, he was approached by a portly man wearing a tacky red suit, a cigar between stubby fingers. Haze, you that Kung Fu Baldy fella, ain't you? Yeah, that's me. You know, you're a hot commodity in these parts. Z City is pretty big. I come to use you with an offer. What kind of offer? A movie deal. That Mole Man incident was pretty messy. That warehouse was a big corp HQ. People are credited all to you. That Suryo guy may have beat the Mole Man, but he just walked past trapped people like it didn't matter at all. Then I hear he had some kung fu beef with yous and your friend Lightning Mask. I sense a karate movie, tournament, and then Mole Man. In the finale, Cyborg Suryo will come for you. Cyborg Suryo? Oh, there'll be so liberties taken. No big deal. I already spoke to that Surya fella, agreed easily. He wants the cash and access to starlets. At this moment, Martha spotted Krillin from the opposing street. She waved and yelled out, Krillin! Krillin! The portly man gave her a glance. Hey, that you go? Krillin stuttered a bit, but responded, No, just a friend. I gotta tell you, pal, once you go movie star, you'll have access to hot bombshells, not just homely broads like her. Krillin did not like his words, but he also did not want to ruin this opportunity. Martha soon closed the distance. Hey, I'm still waiting for that invite to your new home. Sorry for interrupting. We just haven't talked in a while. Krillin noticed the movie executive point towards his elaborate golden watch. He didn't have much time. He hurriedly gave Martha his phone number, mentioning he'd toss a text later. The cigar-smoking man then motioned for a nearby limo to pick him and Krillin up. Martha saw Krillin leave rather quickly. Guess he's busy these days. A few months later, Krillin had a rare day for relaxation. He sat on a large black leather sofa, feet propped up on a wooden round table, a bowl of curry tikka masala in hand, delivered by a teenager via a food delivery app. Krillin chewed at his widescreen TV played on. And now, on Hero Watch, we will be focusing the spotlight on the rising star known as Kung Fu Baldy, already releasing his trailer for Bloodsports, a true story. This hero has caused a commotion. Despite juggling a fledgling acting career and acts of heroism, Kung Fu Baldy's name continues to spread throughout Sea City, enough that a petition to rank him up to S has already gained momentum. We now take to what the people on the streets are saying. The program then showed a brown-haired man in a purple business suit being interviewed. I've known this guy day one. He's a true hero. I tell you, if he isn't rank S by next month, I call corruption. The program then flashed to an interview with a child playing with an action figure with Krillin's likeness. He's cool and small like me. He saves people every day and does movies. I want to be just like him. The feed shifted to a studio desk. In this desk sat a blue-haired man with a face befitting a pop star. However, not everyone supports this petition's goal. We bring you all to a My Mask, which I'm sure you are all acquainted with. This hero celebrity's name precedes him. A My Mask had a serious look on his face. He looked towards the camera, an air of confidence exuding, suggesting his familiarity with the spotlight. This is all hysteria. Krillin's eyes were transfixed on the screen. He was somehow struggling to both chew his food and watch. As the appointed guardian of the S rank, it's up to me to determine who can be allowed in. If we allowed some amateur with a bit of hype get in, the rank would lose all meaning. Rank S is reserved for those who can truly be trusted with guarding humanity. The camera then zoomed on a My Mask's face. Prove me wrong, Kung Fu Baldy. Krillin mumbled to himself, what's so good about this guy that he can play gatekeeper? Krillin then swallowed his food. Ah, man, this fame is great, though. I bet Goku was familiar with this kind of thing. Soon after he stated this, Krillin set his bowl of curry down on the table and straightened his posture. No, that's not right. Images of Goku hauling vegetables on tilled rows of soil, of Goku suffering from his heart virus flashed in his head. Goku never got or cared for recognition. He did all those amazing things because that's the kind of guy he is. I'm letting this all get to my head. The program still had a My Mask's face as its focus. However, the female reporter in the news studio with him soon began to speak. Thank you, My Mask. I'm sorry, but I'm getting details on an emergency report. The camera soon zoomed away from a My Mask, who had now turned his face towards the reporter. The view now centered on the presenter. An infographic now displaying city invasion beside her. We're now getting reports that a colossal spaceship, the size of the city itself, is hovering over A City. The Hero Association has already issued a response. Soon a battalion of S-rank heroes will be on the scene, leading the charge. Other heroes should already be on the ground. It is stressed that citizens of A City report to their nearest evacuation points. Video footage of the situation was now playing. Krillin was astonished at the size of the ship, but he already knew what to do. He quickly changed into his karate-gi, tightening his belt. Time for Frieza Force Round 2. A City was in chaos. Destroyed skyscrapers were emitting smoke. Emergency vehicles were blaring sirens on every corner that wasn't occupied by intergalactic invaders. Although most of the city had already been destroyed at this point, stopping the force stationed here was the top priority. Alien soldiers were swarming over ruined blocks of the city. The only hope in containing these troops were strategic deployments by heroes rank A and below. As the rank S heroes gathered together near the only building left standing, the Hero Association HQ, they planned a boarding mission onto the ship. Those lower on the hierarchy were left to deal with the ground forces. This was especially the case of 3 particular rank A heroes. Ian had retreated from an attack by an elite alien general named Melzagard. The otherworldly monster claimed to be a general, and his power backed up by his title. As a result of fighting Melzagard, Ian had his left arm completely evaporated, his retreat only possible due to a detachment of S-rank heroes who arrived on the scene. In particular, Ian had only survived due to the intervention of his master, Atomic Samurai, who led the detachment. Ian stumbled through the rubble-strewn street, his medieval-style chestplate dented and scorched, the polished metal now blackened with soot and streaked with his own blood. The black cloth of his shirt was tattered and soaked through, the left sleeve completely gone along with his arm, leaving only blood-stained fabric clinging to his shoulder. The makeshift tourniquet, torn from what remained of his black shirt, was wrapped tightly around his shoulder. Each step sent jolts of pain through his body, and his right hand trembled as he gripped his sword. He rounded the corner of a collapsed storefront, using his blade to steady himself against a twisted street lamp. Through the smoke and debris, he spotted two familiar figures engaged in combat with a cluster of alien soldiers. Okama Itachi, Bushy Drill, Ian called out, his voice hoarse, but carrying over the chaos. Both disciples whipped around at the sound of his voice. Okamatachi's eyes widened in horror at the sight of his teammate's condition, while Bushy Drill's face contorted with rage. Ian! Okamatachi rushed towards him, dispatching the nearest alien with a swift strike. Your arm! What happened? Ian mustered up a response. I was engaging in combat with an alien general. I'm only alive due to our master showing up. The two fellow disciples of Atomic Samurai soon sliced through the mob of soldiers they were facing and turned to help their compatriot walk. As they stumbled their way through the battlefield, so Ian could reach an ambulance on the main road out of the ruined A City, they saw a floating creature levitate toward their direction. It didn't exactly have a body. It was more accurate to say it was a massive eyeball with some leather-like brown skin attached to it. It simply just gazed on at the three once it got close enough. This thing doesn't look like normal alien infantry, Bushy Drill stated. Okamatachi and Bushy Drill soon let go of their friend to better handle their drawn swords. It had turned out that the floating alien irregular wasn't just gazing. Soon, a ball of pink plasma materialized in front of its eyelids. The ball of plasma, unleashing various rays of destructive energy, scattered in all directions. Okamatachi and Bushy Drill attempted to evade as many as they could, but some rays still managed to land shallow blows. The rays didn't pierce through their skin completely, but the sizzling pain that came from contact left the two out of commission, the burning sensation forcing them on the ground. Although Ian didn't attempt to dodge, his metallic armor had fortunately reflected the rays of plasma. Ian counted his blessings, but stood up, despite his own aching pain. I can only take this as a sign that my sensei was right. I have to learn to fight with only my right arm. If only it didn't have to happen so soon. Ian rushed forward, his one working hand clutching the hilt of his sword tightly. The ball of plasma in front of the creature now turned green. Ian saw that the nature of his attack changed. Instead of going in all directions, his green energy ball manifested a ray that went in one direction. Ian, thinking on his feet, kicked off an iron boot in the beam's trajectory. It did block the beam from reaching him, yet it completely rotted away my boot. It's like green means decay, Ian thought. Seeing the creature intended on releasing another ray, Ian tried a desperate tactic. He dropped his sword and grabbed a handful of dirt, throwing it in the eyeball's direction. To his surprise, this had worked. The floating alien had shut his eyelid. This gave Ian the perfect opportunity to move in and slice the creature in two. Once he had gotten his one singular hand on his sword again, Ian walked towards his comrades. They had witnessed his fight, but were in too much pain to give him a proper congratulations. He stood there, sword drawn, prepared to fight whatever happened to show up next. It would seem to be a hopeless situation, until he had heard the familiar and loud noise of a nearby ambulance, a smile now forming on his face. He and his allies were leaving the field alive. Though it hadn't just been Ian's fellow heroes who saw this fight. Behind the wall of a destroyed office building lurked a monster who had the form of a beautiful blonde woman. Her outfit was made of black leather, the leather covering the required spots asked of one going into public, all kept together by various straps. The monster woman gazed upon Ian, licking her lips underneath her black face mask. He's perfect. That resolve of his. It would be so satisfying to break him into the first soldier of my mind-controlled army. Ian, I believe they called you. Get patched up soon so I can use you, my future first captain. Super S giggled to herself. Krillin soared over the battlefield, the completely ruined A City. He overlooked troops of aliens engaging in groups of heroes while flying. Krillin made the tough decision to ignore skirmishes, despite his desire to help. His experience with the Frieza Force had taught him it was best to cut the head off the beast when it came to intergalactic armies. For all he knew, the ship had a weapon capable of blowing up the planet, or much worse, the weapon being the leader of the army itself like Frieza. As he grew closer to the ship, his eyes darted around in attempt to find an easy opening. Krillin could easily make his own entrance, but he chose to do this with stealth. Out of sheer chance, he had spotted what looked like a human-shaped entry hole. It looked rather familiar, like someone just walked themselves right in through the metallic exterior. Krillin took his opening into the ship, coming across an entryway that was littered with destruction, dead soldiers, broken screens. Whoever made that improvised entryway also took care of the segment of the ship. Krillin saw two pathways before him, one with scattered alien remains and one without. He took the path that looked well traveled. As he passed his entry point, he realized that it led into a large maze network. Krillin could follow the devastation, in an attempt to follow the hero responsible, but he simply chose to fly upwards, thinking it'd be quicker. Krillin ascended through each upper layer of every room he entered, always delivering a dramatic entry. Some rooms, he had to strike at stray soldiers that leapt at him. In others, alien generals and sergeants alike would let out a long speech, yet Krillin blazed forward, never hearing the end to any one. Krillin kept a running count in his head at first, but as he continued exploring the ship, he gave it up. If he had to guess, the room that showed some promise was somewhere in the ballpark of a triple-digit figure. The room he decided to finally make his stop was lit by a purple glow, emanating from crystalline objects somewhere in the room. He saw an impressive staircase that led to what looked like a throne. On this throne, a Lycopian, spiky-haired alien sat imposingly. His golden armor was majestically shining in the purple light, in the same manner as the very throne he occupied. His eyes glaring at Krillin. "Are you the challenge I was fated to lose to?" Maybe." "Well then, Earthling, I expect nothing less than a good fight. This is the very purpose we came to invade this planet, in hopes of drawing a challenger who is worthy of facing Boros, the Conqueror." Krillin assumed a fighting stance. Boros stayed motionlessly watching. The two would soon break free of these stances, a set of motion blurs replacing them. Their speed's too hard to process visually. The orange and golden blurs inched closer to each other, then ascended upwards. The blurs then circled each other, as if in a waltz. In truth, they were testing speed, hunting for an opening. Soon the golden and orange blurs met in the center of their waltz. Boros landed the first hit, a kick that Krillin blocked by crossing his arms. The blurs once again separated. Once they met, Krillin blocked a punch with his palms. They repeated this routine, and yet again, Krillin intercepted a kick with his right arm. At this level of combat, a slight difference in speed makes all the difference. Krillin positioned his body in an attempt to make Boros' kick more shallow so he could land his own punch. Thwack! Boros' armor cracked, having taken a hit. Crack! Krillin felt the impact in his ribs. The two descended onto the carpeted path that led to Boros' throne. Boros' armor began to shatter upon landing. Boros gave off a smile and dashed in, landing a punch onto Krillin's face. However, Krillin landed a punch at the same time. The two continued to land more punches, exchanging blows. If one landed a fist on the other's face, the other would land a fist right in the stomach. Thwack! 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 The two leaped away from each. Krillin breathed heavily. Both had bruises all over, all from that last exchange that was similar to a brutal bar fight that had no strategy. "I respect the way you fight, Earthling. It's entertaining, honorable. I regret that you may not have a response to this next one." Boros lifted his arm up, energy forming at his fingertips. Krillin hadn't fully recovered. His Pyrrhic strategy of taking hits to land a hit was the only way he could deal with Boros, being a hair faster than him. He still knew what he must do to counter Boros' next move. Collapsing Star Cannon! Kamehameha! Beams of energy were emitted from both of their hands, crashing into each other. Boros holding his in place with his right hand, Krillin's via the ends of his palms touching. They grunted as they drained their stamina to keep up these long, railgun-esque steams. Krillin knew he wasn't in the best condition. He would give in first. He adjusted his palms upwards. His beam redirected the opposing one along with it, upwards into the ceiling of the throne room. The beams easily pierced through, causing debris to collapse onto the fighters. Yet Boros took advantage of this moment, grabbing a large metallic piece of what used to be a ship and threw it at Krillin. He was successful. Krillin was sent flying towards the ground. Although Boros could not see where Krillin landed, with the dust summoned by the falling rubble, he had a sense where his body would be laying. As Boros walked, he stretched out his right arm, his palm and fingers facing upwards, as if they were locked in place. His nails grew in size, into pointed blade-like formation. Boros effectively transformed his right hand into a claw. The dust settling, he stood above Krillin. "It's time to end this, Earthling." Krillin opened his eyes, his body laying the ground. He crawled slowly away from Boros. "Please, you don't have to do this. Don't diminish the respect I've gained of you. Dying in battle is an honor." Boros quickly motioned his right hand towards Krillin, intending on stabbing his back. He rushed his hand forward. A spiral energy disc cut through Boros' right arm midway through his attack. Green blood sprouted from it, like a water fountain. Boros was surprised by this turn of events. "Ha, like that? I call it the Boomerang Destructo Disc. I've mastered it during my hero training. I also mastered being afraid from my recent acting career too," Krillin smugly said. Boros gave a short bout of laughter. "Excellent." Despite his injury, Boros charged towards Krillin. Krillin transitioned into a backflip and landed just in time to block Boros' one-armed flurry of attacks. Krillin dodged and weaved, calculating as he did so. "Your punches are coming half as fast now," he declared while holding Boros' remaining fist. Krillin then landed a kick. "To!" Then a series of them. To. Having let go of Boros so he could be sent flying, Boros would crash into a pillar until another pillar put a stop to the momentum. Boros laid there, his back reclining on a ruined structure. Boros went silent, his right arm still leaking blood. "Had enough?" Krillin asked. "You've fulfilled your obligation. You are certainly worthy. However, I don't believe you are the fated one," Boros declared. Krillin was confused. Boros' singular eye turned towards his disembodied hand, as if expecting something. Suddenly, as if he had a spare hand somewhere in his arm, it regenerated in a manner similar to Piccolo. Krillin's mouth was agape. Boros stabilized himself and stood firm. Meteor burst! A surge of energy ran through Boros' body. His skin glowed. His hair grew into a large lion's mane. The terrain around him cracked from the pressure. The white aura that began to cover him gave off. "No way! This guy is turning Super Saiyan? Super Boros? I barely started having an edge over him." After Krillin processed this thought, Boros had already landed a fist into Krillin's torso. Krillin had no time to perceive his movement. Krillin struggled to maintain consciousness. His body was laid out flatly on the ground, his head supported upwards by the staircase leading to Boros' throne. His vision was flickering, but he could see Boros was charging up energy to finish him off. "It's times like these that I really wish Goku was around." The energy coalesced around Boros' fingertips. "It was nice having time in the spotlight, and I got to save people. I'm about to piss my pants here, but I don't regret how I lived my life up until now." Krillin had resigned himself to his fate. Collapsing star roaring cannon! It was absolutely absurd, he thought. That can't be reality. Boros' head was planted into the walls of his throne room like a dart on a board. Super Boros couldn't react to a surprise attack? Krillin turned away from where Boros had been launched, to the spot where collapsing star roaring cannon was due to arrive from. There, a yellow motion blur turned visible. It was a bald man, in a yellow bodysuit, his white cape flowing downwards. Saitama, after conferring where he sent Boros, turned to face Krillin. Hey, you're that time traveler. I saw only a tiny bit, but nice fight. Saitama's gloved fist turned into a thumbs up. Thanks. Who are you anyway? That was amazing. Krillin mustered up. Saitama, though I guess I'm also known as Rank C Hero Caped Baldy. I really hate that name. Krillin couldn't stop a chuckle coming out. The absurdity that Saitama was so low ranked, and oh man, dude, I can relate. My hero name is Kung Fu Baldy. I'm Krillin, by the way. It's like they don't even try with the names. Kinda rough not having hair, huh? Yeah, but you get used to it and come to own it. Huh, yeah, ain't that the truth? Saitama then quickly turned his head. Well, that guy's getting back up. Can't let you have all the fun fighting him. See you later, Krillin. The energy Krillin received from his sheer willpower to avoid passing out subsided once Saitama was no longer in front of him. As he edged on the border of unconsciousness, he was able to catch some glimpses of the fight between Saitama and Boros. Couldn't let me have all the fun. That sounds exactly like something Goku would say at a moment like this. He attempted to follow the fight, each blink a further descent from awareness. On his last few glimpses, he did manage to witness Saitama utter out, "Serious punch," and uppercut Boros out of the ship. Yeah, that guy's gotta be this world's Goku. The next day, Krillin found himself in a hospital bed, IV lines snaking from his arms like the tangled wiring of a neglected computer. An elderly mustached man's eyes moved away from his clipboard. Ah, Kung Fu Baldy, you're awake. You're lucky your older brother brought you here all the way from A City in time. My older brother? Yeah, that caved Baldy. My grandson is a big fan of yours, and even he didn't know of the Baldy brothers. Krillin, grateful for the doctor's assistance, restrained himself from feeling insulted. Sadly, we aren't related. Say, do you know where he is? No, but he seems like a reliable C-class hero. He's likely helping out in the recovery efforts of that invasion. People are still trapped in that rubble, especially after Tornado of Terror destroyed that spaceship. Without another word, Krillin grabbed his orange G, neatly folded on the chair beside him. Drawing the bed's curtains, he changed into his outfit. He apologized to the old man, who advised him to stay and rest, but Krillin only smiled. I gotta do at least something heroic today. Meanwhile, somewhere not far away from the hospital, a recovered Ian raised his sword towards a Mai mask. You dishonor my lady. I shall have you suffer the consequences, Ian declared. Ian, the A-class hero right below me. I heard about you fighting on with one arm. I know you have too much pride to throw away for that thing. A Mai mask pointed towards the monster woman besides Ian. Although obscured by a face mask, one can easily tell that Super S was smiling. A whip in hand, she cracked it against concrete with a sharp snap. Attack him. I want another soldier from my love army. As you wish, my lady. Ian fiercely swung his sword, his one-handed style still performing at a level befitting his rank. A Mai mask, however, gracefully evaded each swing with sidesteps and twirls. At a distance, the fight almost looked like a choreographed dance routine. A Mai mask would eventually find an opportunity between swings, approaching from behind with blinding speed, and grappled Ian into a sleeper hold. Hands off, my pet. Get your own. Super S directed her whip towards a Mai mask, hoping to free Ian. A Mai mask, with an expression of utter disdain, pushed Ian towards Super S, interrupting her swing. As Ian collapsed onto her, a Mai mask swiftly delivered a kick onto Ian's torso, the force of his strike being mostly absorbed by the mind-controlled hero, still crashed both onto the street. Super S lifted herself off the ground, her angry gaze pointed at the blue-haired pop star hero in front of her. Ian was out of commission. Super S knew she was on her own. She hadn't lifted her whip up very high. Before a Mai mask moved in closer, his stature clearly indicating the delivery of a punch. At this moment, a voice shouted from above, "Leave her alone!" Krillin's yell managing to delay a Mai Mask attack. He soon made his descent nearby the conflict. "Kung Fu Baldy, you misunderstand the situation here. This monster made Ian, a respectable hero, attack me. Ian wouldn't do anything like that, unless it was all the work of a monster." Krillin looked downwards at the unconscious swordsman, his gaze then turning to Super S, who he only had seen from above. He looked over her and was completely smitten. Blonde hair, misunderstood, beautiful face. She reminds me of that Android 18 girl, Krillin thought, struggling not to make a weird face. Krillin then faced a Mai Mask. Sometimes guys are just like that, you know, especially around cute girls. Krillin gave off an awkward laugh after tossing out his theory. A Mai Mask's eyebrows furrowed. His eyes narrowed. He was utterly disgusted. Kung Fu Baldy, has he fallen under her spell too? He wanted to excuse Krillin's behavior, but after taking in the look of confusion on Super S's face, he came to the conclusion of, no, he really is that kind of guy. Kung Fu Baldy, now I know for certain you are not S-rank material. Stop acting foolish and let me finish the job. Krillin was upset. You know, you did say on TV that I should prove you wrong. How about I do that now? A Mai Mask smirked. You know what? Sure. With a leap and a twirl, a Mai Mask prepared to launch a flurry of blows on Krillin. Now, take in the glaringly radiant beauty of how a true hero fights. Solar Flare! An intense spark of light emitted from Krillin, causing a Mai Mask to cover his eyes. It's too bright. I can feel the intensity with my eyes closed. A Mai Mask managed to say in his stunned state. He descended downward, gracefully landing right in position for Krillin to hold him up by the collar. A Mai Mask, finally regaining vision, stared down, a fist fixed right at his face. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Krillin unleashed a series of punches. By the time Krillin was finished, a Mai Mask's face appeared as if he had been struck headfirst in a hornet's nest. Did you have to land all your hits there? A Mai Mask now looked as if his spirit left his body. He just passed out when he imagined what his face looked like. Hero, you sure did save me, said Super S in her best damsel in distress tone. Oh, no big deal. He had it coming. Anyway, I got a call for an ambulance for Mask and your boyfriend. Super S looked over at Mai Mask, making sure he was knocked out. Her gaze now fixed on Krillin, who had just given their location. Now's my chance. Super S cracked her whip, leaving a lash on Krillin. Hey, what's that for? Super S was flabbergasted. Normally, whoever she hit with her whip would be a love slave by now. Knowing that she had to improvise, she managed to let out, "He's totally not my boyfriend." Super S was certain that Krillin would figure her out. Fortunately for her, Krillin was completely inexperienced with women besides Bulma and Chi-Chi. Oh, I get it. Yeah, I can see why girls would get mad about that kind of stuff. Forgive me. To Krillin, his baseline for how angry a woman could get was way out of what was typical. So, do you need me to walk you home? Krillin asked. Super S responded with, that's the thing. I was living in A City, and now I've got nowhere to go. Why not go to the nearest refugee center? Well, they're all completely full. Krillin pondered for a bit. If you don't mind me offering, I have a spare room in my luxury apartment. You can stay there till you get on your feet. I know how it is. I had to stay in a refugee center for a while. Super S quickly wrapped her arms around Krillin. Thank you. It'd be an honor for me to stay with someone as strong and famous as you, Kung Fu Baldy. Krillin was clearly flustered. It's just Krillin, huh? Super S tightened her arms around Krillin. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know why I can't control his mind. There was no way for Super S to know this, but the ki flowing through Krillin's body prevented tactics like hers from working, due to the protection it gives from spiritual ailments. But I suppose it's nice to have someone who does stuff for you without asking. She took in Krillin's blushing face. It is a pretty cute thing about him. Krillin and Super S then strolled off together into the sunset. Boy, That was the longest one I've done. I'm spent. Support the channel if you want to see more like this. Me and my cat Salem look forward to your next visit.